Welcome back to Idiots One Podcast. I'm Taylor.
And I'm Bailey.
And Bailey, before we start today, I just want to say that I don't have an intro.
There's no intro?
There's no intro.
So we're just doing this. We're going straight into it and talking about Barbarian.
Barbarian, the 2022 film written and directed by Zach Cregger, who you might know from the hit 2007 TV show The Whitest Kids You Know, or his 2009 movie that he did with Trevor Moore, God rest his soul.
What was
Miss March. Yeah, did you not know that he did that one?
No, I wasn't spun up on all of his past endeavors.
He also did like a 2016 show called Wrecked, I think. But basically, Zach Cregger follows the same formula as Jordan Peele, where he makes a sketch comedy show and then a horror movie.
Well, I'm glad that you brought up Jordan Peele. Did you know that he actually was kind of an invisible hand in the making of this movie?
Oh, really? I did not know that.
No, so Jordan Peele met with Zach and did like an early screening and went over the script and stuff with him. That being said, he's not given credit for anything, and it's impossible to say if he actually did anything or if he just like saw it, you know? But it's known that he was like in talks with Jordan while this was happening.
That makes a lot of sense. But this movie stars Georgina Campbell as the lovely Tess, who decides to get a job interview in Detroit, Michigan, and in order to stay the night, she books an Airbnb. When she arrives in the middle of the night and it's pouring out rain, she finds that there's somebody else in the house. This would be Bill Skarsgård, who you might know from the hit movie It.
Didn't he play Pennywise?
He played Pennywise,
The
but in this
dancing
one,
clown?
yeah, in this one you get to see him without makeup on and what he actually looks like. But Bill Skarsgård plays Keith, who answers the door and is a little, confused as to what's going on because there's a woman that just showed up saying that she booked it. Turns out they both got booked at the same time. Things are going well, life's good until they find the basement. Now this plays on the regular stereotype of don't go down into the basement, but when Tess goes down to the basement and finds a secret passage tunnel door, all hell breaks loose. Barbarian. I feel like that was a pretty good summary.
I mean, basically.
Yeah.
So, since you kind of talked about this, another interesting little factoid about this movie.
Mm-hmm.
It started as Zach doing a writing exercise for what would happen if a woman ignored a series of red flags.
Okay.
So all of these events were red flags. The initial premise was what would happen. And after he did about 30 minutes of it, he was like, oh, I could make a full-ass movie from this.
Which we will get into in the discussion. What do you give it? If you had to rank it 1 to 5, with 1 being the shittiest movie that you've ever seen, 5 being an absolutely phenomenal film, 3, pretty average.
So I'm going to disagree with your scale for a second because you've rated movies below 1s before.
Oh, well, that's because whatever I rate below a 1, like at a 0 or a -5 in some cases, that is the most vile piece of dog shit I've ever seen.
Oh, well, in that case, I would give this probably a 3.5, slightly above average, not quite great, definitely memorable.
Okay. I'm sort of with you. I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5.
Okay.
I thought about it and I was like, because my initial thought was a 4.5 because I didn't think that it hit the scale on a 5. But I was like, no, I think that a 4, if I had to rank it on a scale from 1 to 10, it would probably be like a 7 or an 8. So I was like, a 4, solid 4 out of 5 would be good. And RogerEbert.com agrees with me because they gave it a 3 out of 4, which I thought was good. But no, we'll do our spoiler-free review because this is, in fact, a movie that's been out for a week now by the time you listen to this, I think.
It'll probably have been out for about 2 weeks by the time this releases.
Maybe 2 weeks, week and a half, 2 weeks.
Because didn't it release like
last Friday,
the first week of September?
No, it's only been out for a week. We saw it, the not opening with second opening. It'll be out for 2 weeks. It doesn't fucking matter. It'll have been out. But with that being said, it's still playing in theaters at the time of this recording. So we will have a spoiler-free review where we kind of just go over a few things And then once that is over, we will get into the nitty gritty of the 100% not spoiler free review. So if you haven't seen the movie, that would be the time to stop listening to the podcast and then come back after you've seen it to hear us either shit on it or love it. So it's spoiler free review.
How would you like to start this off?
So like I said, this movie, I will say that the trailer does a really good job in this movie. I liked the trailer a lot. And it sets everything up for you without ruining the movie. I do not think the trailer ruins this movie at all. And because of that, I would say if you haven't seen the trailer, go watch it. The trailer is initially what got me into this one. I watched it and thought that was extremely fucking creepy. And then once, Zach Cregger was attached to it, I was instantly hooked. Because I grew up watching Whitest Kids, so I thought, let's go ahead and give this a try. Georgina Campbell as Tess does a phenomenal job. I really thought that she was good as the final girl. And, I mean, come on. Bill Skarsgård as Keith. You literally can't go wrong. Bill Skarsgård plays the role perfectly. In my opinion, Keith is the best character in this movie. And honestly, if they had not casted him the way that they did, I do not think this movie would have been as good. Because he really, really sets up. Like at the beginning of the movie when they first meet, because it kind of just jumps into it, he really sets the tone for the rest of the entire movie with his acting.
So I have a question about our spoiler-free section.
Yeah.
Are we just doing like first act stuff?
Yeah.
So my spoiler-free review of this would be basically, it's about, like you said, it's basically the summary. It's about a girl who has a job interview and goes to a double-booked Airbnb. And we kind of talked about it earlier. It's just a series of her ignoring red flags. And that's really how the first act of this movie feels like it goes. It's just red flag, suspicious thing, red flag, suspicious thing, red flag, suspicious thing. And her basically going, oh, this is suspicious, but, it's going to be okay. I'm going to be, I'm going to keep my guard up and it'll be fine. And that's basically how the first act of this movie plays.
Yeah, that probably would be, if I had to put into words, the entire first part of this movie. But it's good.
Oh, yeah.
It's very atmospheric.
Definitely enjoyable. If you're not sure if you want to go see it and you're looking for, like, specifics, it's not very gory.
No, because the beauty of this film that I will say that I really enjoyed is it takes the same approach as the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So the horrible stuff, for the most part, except for in a few places, you don't really see on screen, so it makes it worse because you're imagining it,
Yeah, it's just most of the scariest parts of this movie are insinuated.
Yeah, 100% the scariest parts of this movie, unless you're claustrophobic and afraid of the dark, then the whole movie is horrifying.
So this movie almost gave me like at certain points an as above so below vibe. With just like the claustrophobia sense. It's not like handheld camera or first person like that movie.
Right.
But just, the darkness and the claustrophobia and the tenseness, the tensity, if you will.
Yeah, that is our spoiler-free review. If I had any recommendations, I would say go pay the money to see it in theaters. We had a pretty good group of people, I think, that we watched it with. They screamed, which got me. Like, I didn't jump at all in the movie until one of the girls next to me basically screamed in my ear.
So that's something else I wanted to talk about before we got into the spoiler section.
Mm-hmm.
I think that this movie has a good theater experience because, like Taylor said, there are some jumps in it that might scare some people into screaming, which the reaction's always fun. And then there are some parts that you wouldn't expect but are genuinely funny.
Yes, but this also plays into the same, because even with things like Get Out, there were genuinely funny moments in it. In a very serious movie, and we're not saying that this is a comedy because it's a horror movie 100%, but it follows the same formula as like what Jordan Peele does, where there is comedic relief at times to not have a full hour and a half, 2 hour movie of pure tension.
I recognize that this isn't the same genre,
Mm-hmm.
but I almost got the same type of funny vibes that I had from Friday the 13th Part 3, where it doesn't feel out of place, the comedy, because the characters themselves, like the mindsets of the characters, are comedic mindsets.
Which we can give this example. When Tess finds the secret passage to go down into the tunnel in the basement or whatever, her first thing that she says, this is what Bailey's talking about, is she goes, "Nope, not doing that one," and that was just kind of funny.
Yeah, I mean that's one example, but
That was the only example I could give without ruining the movie.
Yeah, no, the specific stuff I'm talking about we'll talk about in the spoiler section.
I'm pretty sure I know what you're talking about, so we'll save it for that.
Absolutely.
Well, yeah, if you have any interest in seeing this movie, like Bailey said, there are genuine moments in the movie that make for a very good theater experience. I would highly recommend it. If you're not one of those people that wants to go to the movies and see it, just go out and fucking do it. Have fun. And with that being said, we'll take a momentary pause where we'll put some interlude music before we get into the spoiler section, just in case you're driving and you need to be able to turn this off. You're looking at me like I'm a fucking idiot, but you literally did this last time.
So I'm just going to say that we might not have interlude music to put in yet.
We will have interlude music.
We might not.
No, we will, because I can go do 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 do. All right, that was literally enough. Interlude music.
So,
welcome to
spoilers.
the fucking spoilers section. We're about to spoil the shit out of this.
I mean, yeah. So the best character, I disagree with you completely about it being Bill Skarsgård's character. It was Justin Long's character.
Do you think AJ was?
AJ was fucking hilarious.
No, he was not. AJ annoyed me.
Yeah, that's why he's so funny. He's meant to be annoying.
Bill Skarsgård. Okay, so Zach Cregger does an amazing job with the opening of this movie, because I'm glad that you brought up that this was all red flags, because I did find that. But the way that he does this is you feel the dread and fear of a attractive female putting herself in a situation that could end extremely poorly constantly, because we feel uncomfortable watching that. Like, we know her rolling up in a very bad neighborhood.
I'm glad you brought that up, because when she initially rolled up, you could tell it was kind of a bad neighborhood, but you couldn't tell nearly how bad
until the morning.
Intentionally.
Right.
Because of the way Zach used darkness in this movie.
It was dark and raining. Perfect. I compare that to the fog effect in Silent Hill, where it's just that atmospheric tension. But no, the way that he did the lighting, which I guess would be lack of lighting in this situation, was perfect. Because you're right, when you don't see it until morning when she comes outside as to like how fucking horrible this place is. But you get the feeling that it's even Keith says, I don't know if you saw, but this isn't really the best neighborhood, maybe you need to come inside. And the reason I think that he's the best character is because the way that he plays it is he is trying to come off flirty but not creepy. So it's just awkward with everything that he does, and even cringy. Especially the one instance that I'll say is when she comes out from washing her face, and he is sitting there waiting for her with 2 wine glasses, saying, I poured you the tea, and I saw that you didn't really, do the tea because I made it, and you didn't see me make it, you just saw me pour it, so I might have had something in there, something might have been done. So then I got to thinking, well, what if I just, open the bottle in front of you? Maybe you'd be more inclined to have a glass of wine with me if I just open this bottle in front of you, so you can see that I did not tamper with it, it's completely sealed, popping the cork off, here we go. And the way that he plays that is extremely uncomfortable at times, but you can almost feel the desperation, I guess, of him trying to get this attractive female to talk to him.
That's an interesting perspective that you're choosing to paint him in.
Do you, okay, so what would you say? Because I that's how I felt that his character came off as.
So I wouldn't call his character desperate. I would definitely say he's trying to be flirtatious for sure, and
Mm.
he's also trying to not be creepy, but I wouldn't say that he was being desperate or overzealous or pushy or anything like that. I mean, I know you didn't say overzealous or pushy, you just said desperate. But I don't think he would even be desperate because him acting like that might seem unreasonable, but if I was around a lady I didn't know, especially in a situation like that where we were both double booked in an Airbnb, even if I wasn't, trying to pursue her in a sexual like fashion, that's exactly how I would act. If I was drinking wine or going to open up wine, I'd be like, yo, do you want some? Here's the closed bottle. You can watch me pour it. I wouldn't be as, so that I'm not, going to poison you or anything like that. I would just be like, that would just be how I would be. And it wouldn't be, even if it was a dude, it would be the same way.
Okay, so that's the difference between me and you. I would just do my own thing, and if they wanted something, then they could. If so, I would pop the wine open and then drink it, and if they wanted a glass, I'd be like, all right, yeah, take a glass. I don't care.
Oh no, I would be as hospitable as possible and as friendly as possible, but also very like open.
Well, he was very hospitable in the beginning because he took her in, which
I wouldn't have taken her in, but
well, in the conversation that they have when they've had a little bit of wine, like what if the roles were reversed and I was the one that showed up to your doorstep in the middle of the night, pouring rain outside? Would you take me in?
she was like, "Fuck no."
Yeah, she's like, no, I'm not gonna do that. He's like, but you came inside. You literally just came inside, which I thought was funny, but does bring up the point of her putting herself in these situations,
Yeah,
which she even puts herself in the situation of finding the room when she has to go get toilet paper or whatever and doesn't prop the door open.
well, I mean, I wouldn't have propped the door open. There's no logical reason to think you needed to prop the doors. Don't lock automatically when they close in houses generally.
But that house,
I would have gotten locked in the basement.
right?
I wouldn't have traveled down into the hidden underground tunnel with Hag Lady and been murdered.
Her name is the Mother, and it was played by Matthew Patrick Davis.
Yeah, I'm gonna call her Hag Lady.
The Mother is the official term.
That's fine.
That's
Like,
the character's name.
I might have gone into the hidden passageway, but the second I found the mattress with the recorder and shit, I would have noped out of there. Like she says nope, I would have just been like, "Nah, I'm done. Good job."
Well, she says no before she even sets foot because she finds a string coming out of the wall and then pulls on it, and the
hidden
fucking
door opens.
hidden door opens, which is creepy.
Yeah, I would have been like, and gone back there at that point. But the second I saw the mattress and the recorder, I would have been like, nope, and just immediately left. Immediately, the movie would have been over if had I been the main character.
I was like, no, I'm not doing this.
Yeah, like,
Roll credits.
Yeah.
Fuck this.
it would have been her or going in there, seeing it, and being like, oh, peace.
Well, and then that happens because she goes down there and then she finds the torture chamber is what I'm gonna call it, because it's basically a room with a. Go ahead, yeah.
I think it's more of a toucher chamber.
No, no, it is not. It is the rape room. That's what it is, and it has a video camera, a bed that the mattress is stained and looks like bed bugs have infested it, and then a bucket in the corner.
That's for defecating and urination.
Right. So you're looking at that and you're like, oh, the dude who owns this house is taking people and, putting them in a sex dungeon pretty much. And then she runs upstairs, meets with Keith. Okay, well, she gets locked in there and then has to, like, bang on the window. But it doesn't, and then goes upstairs. It doesn't matter. And meets Keith and says that I found this room. There is a mattress in there and a camcorder. We need to leave now. And she's even in the process of leaving. She has her bag packed, threw all of her shit in there, and is fixing to walk out the door. And he somehow convinces her that I'm going to go take a look at it. All that I need you to do is make sure that the door doesn't close on me like it did on you, which Could have easily been done by like propping a chair open. I don't know why, but I don't think he believed her at all.
No, I think that he thinks that she was tripping or hallucinating or imagining things or over exaggerating what it was that she saw.
Well, because because before this, when she's running, she runs into the house because a homeless guy starts to chase her.
Screaming at her, "Don't go in the house, stay away from that house."
You need to come out. But no, but he's like, but he doesn't really scream that. He's like, you know, hey, what you doing? No, don't you go in there. And then like, come on out, pretty lady. Like the way that he said the things was meant to elicit a feeling of he is trying to harm her in some way, not rescue her. And then she calls the cops, and the cops are like, yeah, don't really care. Cool. Can you see him? Nope.
It's fine.
All right. There's a shooting that just happened. Let me go get to real important stuff. But then after that, you know, Bill Skarsgård's like, okay. And then he just fucking disappears. Like, he goes down into the hole and disappears. And then she goes down into the hole and can't figure out where he's at. And then all of a sudden, a secret door in the secret tunnel opens up to a secret tunnel.
So did you get like Candyman vibes from this?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
I got Candyman vibes. Grave Encounters. Did you ever watch that movie?
A long time ago.
Okay, when the first time that you meet the mother, that's what that reminded me of.
You mean the hag lady?
The mother, yes. That's what that one reminded me of. I also got, what was it, like Texas Chainsaw feels from it, for the simple fact that, well, hold on. It's also basically what happens. They go down into the area, and then the best way to do this possibly is she finds Keith, who's like screaming that someone bit me, and then all of a sudden, boom, she appears, which almost reminded me of The Descent, now that I think about it, like the first time that you see the caveman.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of The Descent, especially with the way that Zach used darkness.
Yes, that movie is perfect example of how to use darkness effectively in a movie.
So that's basically the end of Act 1?
Well, no, because the end of Act 1 is the best kill, in my opinion. And this is what reminded me more of the Texas Chainsaw, was when she bashes Keith's head in. You see it, but you don't, because the camera is moving.
And it's so dark.
And it's so dark and it's blurry. So all you see is a bunch of red, and you know that his face is fucked up, but you don't know. There is a chance that he might be alive. Just kidding. No, he's fucked.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, that's the end of Act 1.
And then come into the scene, you know, Justin Long's character, AJ.
Yeah, where he's basically like the intro to That 70s Show. Where he's, you know, like just singing in the car.
Yeah, he's cruising in the car, and then he gets a phone call.
And Justin Long, you might know from the really criminally underrated movie Tusk.
Or Jeepers Creepers.
Which was worse than Tusk, yeah.
You might also know him from Waiting.
Which was worse than Tusk.
And Accepted.
Which was worse than Tusk, yeah. The greatest movie he ever did was Tusk, yeah.
I mean, Tusk was definitely a banger. I don't know. Justin Long has been acting for like over 20 years, and he's been in a lot of really good stuff.
Yeah, Justin Long is the kind of guy that you know him. You've seen at least 5 things with him in it, kind of like Kevin Bacon. You just know it. But yeah, Justin Long plays AJ, who has been accused of a horrific crime.
Yeah, he apparently got accused of rape during shooting the pilot of some show.
Yeah, can't remember the name of the show.
I don't know if it was ever stated.
It was, because it's on the newspaper.
Oh.
I just don't remember what it was.
No, I have no idea.
Yeah.
But so he does that, and because of that, he's, you know, going through some financial stuff. And he owns property, including property in Chicago, which causes him to go to Chicago to start liquidating assets.
You mean Detroit?
Did I say Chicago?
You said Chicago.
I meant Detroit.
Yeah, he is in Michigan, not Illinois.
Yeah, just scratch all of the Chicagos and replace them with Detroits in your mind. But so he goes to Detroit to liquidate some of his assets. the one of the assets that he has is the home that Tess's character and Keith's character have already been at.
Which is so the super funny part of this to me is they both got double booked, right? And then when he goes in, he sees the Tessa's car in the driveway, goes inside, sees a bunch of shit everywhere, and then calls and is like, "Are you renting this out?" And her the lady or whatever, leasing agent, I guess, whatever, renter agent, says we haven't rented in 2 weeks. So there has been a 2 week period, I guess, from the time that everything happened with Keith and Tess until now, where AJ Applegate comes in. Did you get that reference?
Maybe.
You'll have to look up AJ Applegate. It'll be really funny once you look it up.
Okay, continue.
Comes in, finds it, and then the best part is that Tess propped the door open in order to have it whenever she was looking for Keith. And the first thing that he does is doesn't even question. He kind of looks at it. I was like, what the fuck? And then just pulls the chair out and slams the door shut. And then, good old AJ's doing something. What does he go down? Oh, he goes down into the basement because he hears a noise.
Yeah.
And it's like the funniest thing in the world, the way that he does it. Because he grabs a knife, puts on his shoes, and he's like, "You want to fucking squat in my house? Nobody's squatting in my house. I'm gonna fuck you up." As he's like trying to pump himself up, and then goes down there with a flashlight and crouching.
And he gets down there and obviously doesn't see anybody, but he does see that the secret door is open and there's a mirror like positioned, like shooting the light down the hall, which is something that Tess set up.
So he sees that, but the door is closed.
Is it closed?
Yeah, it's closed. Because he looks at it and can't figure out why.
Well, no, he can see the like outline of it. I am 100% confident that it is not completely closed.
No, it is, because then he finds the string and pulls on it, and that's when it opens.
I know that he finds the string. It doesn't matter. But so he finds a secret passage, and a normal person finding a secret passage would probably be like mildly concerned.
And nope out of there.
Yeah, but his character was like, "Oh, there's a secret passage in my house. Can this add to my property value?" So he immediately starts Googling it, and then he pulls out a tape measure and starts measuring it. Completely ignores the mattress, the dirty mattress, and the tape recorder and the bucket.
He moves it out of the way to get an accurate measurement for this room.
Yeah.
And then when he finds the secret door, he gets even more ecstatic because he's like, "Oh my God." And normally when people open up a secret door and see a staircase into the pitch blackness known as hell, you would nope the fuck out of there real quick. But instead, he just hooks the top of the tape measure to the stairs and works his way down.
He's trying to get that property value estimate.
Well, and the best thing is that there's like, cages for animals that have like dog bowls and stuff in it that he passes. And
they're not for animals.
Well, they're for humans, you are correct, but they're supposed to be for animals. But it's like he passes it, looks at it, and goes, "What the fuck?" and then just continues.
Yeah, because he's trying to get that property estimate, baby.
Yeah, he's like super ecstatic.
So then he comes across a room, and in the room it's like a breastfeeding tutorial. Is that what you'd call it? I'm not sure what it was.
I don't know what to call it, because it was basically a video of a woman breastfeeding, and I guess it could have been a tutorial because she kind of like talks about, how the baby will latch on and start sucking. But it was, I get, like an infomercial for breastfeeding.
Yeah, something like that. So one interesting thing about this room is, have you seen Incident into Ghostland?
I have not.
It's a 2018 movie, I believe. I think it's still on Netflix.
I don't watch anything newer than 2017.
We're recording a movie that came out less than a week ago.
Yeah.
About a week ago. So this whole scene reminded me of that movie. Or not this whole scene, but this room reminded me of that movie. And that's the extent.
This room reminded me of every other creepy room that you see in movies. But the beauty of it is that we don't see the full room. We don't know exactly what's in there. The only thing that we definitively know is that there are blankets on the floor, and there is a small TV that has this breastfeeding video playing. And that's it. Don't know what else is in the room. It's also like pink. It's a pink room. And I thought that was a very, very good decision on his part to not show us the room and have us really focus on it, but to just give us enough where something fucked up is going on in here, but you don't really.
Yeah, it's creepy.
Yeah, and that was just again, that's part of that Texas Chainsaw Massacre where less is good, because now I'm thinking of all the stuff that could possibly be in the room when in all actuality there's probably not much more, except for maybe like dead bodies decomposing in the corner. But then his tape measure snaps up, and the mother, or Matthew Patrick Davis, starts, running towards him, which was a very good scene because his flashlight starts to go out. And once he has basically reached the end, there's like these flashes of light and dark, and every time it flashes, she gets closer and closer to him, until eventually the whole thing comes on and he's like, fuck, and then runs right into the hole, which is then slammed shut. And as he's sitting there, Tess pops up and is like, shut your fucking mouth and do not yell. And then we cut to 1981, where you see Richard Brake come out of the house. Richard Brake was the final psycho in 31, Rob Zombie's movie. The one that really made that movie. And Richard Brake is a disgusting looking human being. Like, in all actuality, and why I think he gets cast for these roles, is he just looks dirty. Does that make sense?
I mean, it does. I don't necessarily agree, though.
I do, because like looking at Richard Brake, you're like, oh, you haven't bathed in a week. You probably slur when you speak, don't you? You just, I don't know, that's what he gives off. He's good, though. I like Richard Brake a lot, because Bailey wasn't even going to bring him up.
No, I wasn't. He wasn't on, he was on my list of things to talk about when we got to this section, but no.
So basically what happens is, the neighborhood, people are moving out of the neighborhood, and Frank is his name. So, or at least that's what his neighbor refers to him as.
His shirt says Carlos.
His not jumpsuit, his fucking coveralls that he wears because he's a handyman.
Yeah.
Says Carlos on it when his real name's Frank. So Frank Carlos.
Well, I mean, the reason it says that is so that if someone sees him scoping out these houses, they won't be able to identify it by name.
Okay, so we'll get to that, because he goes to the store, and then in order to masquerade his killing habits,
he's not killing, he's kidnapping.
He's kidnapping, and he's buying baby stuff, and then like gloves and tarps.
Well, he's targeting pregnant women.
I don't think he's targeting pregnant women.
That lady's pregnant. The one it shows him targeting is pregnant.
Oh shit, I didn't think she was.
Pretty sure.
Okay. Well, it doesn't matter, because we'll get into that in a minute. But he goes to her house, and then follows her home, because he sees her getting into her car, follows her home, and then does the BTK killer, his routine where he pretends to be a handyman, or BTK was ADP.
Yeah.
Or ADT. Is it ADT?
I don't remember.
Whatever the home security
that's
thing
ADT.
is. ADT, yeah, because that's what, fun fact for you, the BTK killer worked for ADT, and that's how he got into people's houses, was to test their security alarm and then disarm it. So he literally got you from the inside and then would lock the doors and stuff. But it was really, the way that he does it is he goes in, says that there's an outage, and just making sure that you're not subject to this power outage. And then he's going and checking everything, and then he turns on the faucet and unlocks the window.
Yeah.
For re-entry later, which is kind of genius, from like a serial killer standpoint.
I mean, that's also a technique that's used by thieves and stuff.
Okay, but thieves are not as smart as serial killers. Come on.
Okay. What do you got next?
But anyway, you see him go home, and he goes down into the basement, and they're screaming, so you know that something's going on. But you don't really know what's going on. You just know that something's going on. And then the weirdest scene happens is when we go back, which that neighborhood looked really nice in 1981.
Yeah, prior to, yeah,
Detroit becoming a shithole.
yeah.
I think it's okay to say that. If we have anybody listening from Detroit and you don't think that Detroit is a shithole, maybe see what the rest of the world's like.
Or, email us pictures that disprove us at 2idiots1pod2020 at gmail or 2022 at gmail.com.
Or don't, because I already know what poverty looks like. Anyway, not the point. That was my one little rip. You see the mother put a bottle that has hair on it. It's really, really nasty. But she puts it through the grate, and Tess is like, suck on it. Now. If you freak out, she freaks out. You don't want to die. And then AJ's like, nah, I'm not doing that shit. And then, she does. It's pretty bad. It's really disturbing to watch her do that. But not as disturbing as what's about to happen. Because then, AJ gets drug out because he won't. It's so funny because he's not bottle feeding, so then he needs to be breastfed, is the way that she thinks. So then you get to see him being forcefully, breastfed. Yeah, it's not very good. But then Tess uses this opportunity to escape.
Yeah.
Which she does. And then AJ runs, finds a bell, and instead of going the direction where the line is not going, which would have been left, he chooses to follow the line, goes right, and stumbles upon Richard Brake, a.k.a. Frank, a.k.a. Carlos, a.k.a. Franklos. Franklos. Who is, like, bedridden.
Yeah, he's laying in bed. He looks like he's malnourished and has been there for a long time. The room he's in is absolutely filthy.
It's the most disgusting thing I've ever seen in my life.
There's a series of videotapes with, like, girls' names, and then some of them are more descripting features like fat girl.
The redhead,
stuff like that. And it's obvious what they are.
But AJ doesn't know that because AJ is in denial, and whenever he sees him, feels sympathy for him. He's like, oh, are you okay, man? Are you doing good? We're going to get you out of here. What do you need? What do you want? And only when he, moves the bedside table because he's like choking or whatever, and then pushes in the videotape that's inside the VCR and watches what you don't see anything, but you hear it and you see his reaction, which was a beautiful shot, by the way, where it's behind the TV and you can just see his reaction.
Yeah.
Oh, that was great. Of like pure disgust. And then he turns it off and is like, how fucking dare you? Like, how could you do that? Even though this is the same guy that is being accused of raping a girl,
Well, so I think that this is an important scene for his character development.
100%. But go ahead. Since you brought it up, I'll let you.
Because he's, clearly horrified by, this guy's crimes against people, and it makes it to where once this scene ends, which it ends with him killing himself, Richard.
Yeah, Frank gets the gun out of the nightstand and points it at AJ and then turns it on himself.
Yeah, blows his brains out, which, gives AJ the opportunity to escape. But this scene gives AJ an opportunity to reflect because when he meets back up with Tess, he's like, oh, I might be a bad guy. He's like, I didn't think I was, but shit, maybe I am.
Well, because before this, he basically admits to raping her when he's talking with his buddy, who is Zach Cregger.
No, he doesn't admit to raping her. He says she wasn't immediately into it, but she was into it, after we got started.
That's literally how that works. Yeah, because he's like, no, she said no at first,
right.
But I'm a very persistent guy.
Right, but the way he says it, he's never explicitly says, I raped her. Because in his mind, the way he's saying it, he's justifying that, oh, no, she didn't want to initially, but after she got to know me a little bit, after I worked some of my magic on her, she was like, okay, yeah, that sounds great, is the way he was trying to portray what happened.
Right, which is not at all what happened, because no means no.
Were you there?
No means no.
But, he sees that, oh shit, maybe I was, maybe I'm a bad guy.
Yeah, because after, the mother comes out and Tess fucking rams her with a car into the house, which doesn't kill her. I was amazed by that one. She ends up going down the hall to find AJ, and then AJ fucking shoots her.
Yeah. It shows that Tess is like a really good person because she is trying to get back into the house.
Which she does because she escapes. The homeless guy drags her out. And he's like, you don't need to fucking go back in there. And she's like, I have to go back in there for him.
Yeah. It shows that Tess is a good person because even though AJ's kind of a shithead, it shows that Tess is a good person because she's still trying to go out of her way to save him.
Even if it means putting herself back into harm's way.
Exactly.
Because originally she put herself in harm's way to find Keith and save him. And she's like, I'm not going to let that happen because he will die. Yeah. But yeah, AJ shoots her. He feels remorse for it, though.
Yeah, he's immediately like, oh shit, my bad, dude, sorry.
And then I think this is super important because he helps her out and will not leave her in the beginning. He's, has her arm draped around him and he's like moving as fast as he can, but he's not dragging her. He is walking with her, trying to make sure that she's okay, and even running to the place with her. Whereas when they're sitting there talking to the guy who basically explains that Frank is the worst person in the world, he is a serial murderer and rapist who has basically, he rapes the women, makes a baby with them, and then raises the kid only to rape it, and that's how you get the mother. She's a product of incest, basically, through many generations, at least 40 years worth. So, which that was fucked up. But yeah, no, that's probably the worst part of this whole movie is explaining that. Even though you knew that's what that was, you could probably tell, which gave me some really like Hills Have Eyes vibes, But anyway, I think the funniest part is when he says, "Nah, I've been here for 15 years and she's never come through," and then the bitch just Kool-Aid mans through the wall.
Exactly.
And rips his arm off and then beats him with it, but you don't see it. So it's another great example of you see the arm get ripped off, but it's not really bloody.
No.
It was kind of funny. But then they run, and this is where things are different because now that he knows that he's in immediate danger, he reverts back to, it's all about me.
Yeah, AJ decides to betray Tess and push her off the top of the silo thing that they ran up.
Yeah, because they run up a silo because it's not a water tower.
I mean, I'm not sure what it is.
I don't know. Some fucking thing with the staircase that was in the building. Could have been like a giant vent or something. Doesn't matter. Anyway, they get to the top of it, and as they're going up there, Tess is wounded, and she even says, "Don't leave me," and he's just scurrying up as fast as he can.
Yeah.
And then when he gets up there, he's like, "Oh shit, there's nowhere to go. She's coming." Fumbles with the gun, drops it. Literally his fault that they're going to die. And then gets this brilliant idea to, what does he say? You're going to have to slow her down. And then grabs her by the hair.
Grabs Tess.
Grabs Tess by the hair and says, go catch your baby, and throws her off the side. Which made for one of the most hilarious moments in the whole movie.
Yeah, because then immediately after, the old hag or the mother or whatever it is jumps off after Tess, who is thrown off by AJ's character. Or by AJ.
Yeah. Justin Long's character, AJ.
Yeah.
And then there's a splat.
Yeah.
And he looks over the edge at what he's done and then walks down. Grabs the gun. And then
Tess is still alive, so he immediately rolls over and is like, "Oh, dude, I'm sorry. I totally had to do that. You slipped. I can't believe you slipped like that. You slipping like that is so surprising. But look, she's dead. We're fine. Everything's great."
Gaslights the shit, tries to manipulate the situation, saying, "I'm not really the bad guy here.
I can't believe you slipped like that.
Yeah, I can't believe you were slipping. I had no choice. You were literally slipping, but I'm so glad that you're okay after I threw you off the roof."
Yeah.
And then probably the best death is when he has his comeuppance. Because the mother somehow
It's totally fine.
Now I can see Tess being okay because she landed on top of her, and I know that that would cause issues, but she would survive because the initial impact is felt from the mother, right? The mother gets the full force of the impact and then her on top. But Tess wouldn't get as much of the impact or really any because she's being cushioned by the mom or the mother.
I mean, I don't know. It looks like it was like a 40 or 50 feet fall.
She would still, I mean, you can.
She would still be hurt. She might not be like fucked up and dead, but if you fall 40 or 50 feet and land on another person, you're still going to be hurt.
Well, she was.
No, I'm not saying she wasn't.
But I mean, that should have killed the mother. Like,
maybe. You don't know. Maybe incest babies have super strong bones.
they have super fucking strength to be able to rip off an arm. So that's when all reality went out the fucking window. I was like, oh shit, I can't watch this movie. It's not based in reality.
But continue.
But she, like, puts her thumbs in the eye sockets of AJ and just obliterates him. And then starts saying, bye, and, like, gently caressing Tess's face. And she seems genuinely sad that she has to shoot her in the face.
That Tess has to shoot the hag.
The mother. Yeah, like Tess is actually kind of upset that she has to shoot the mother, I guess because she realizes that none of this was really her fault. That all that she wants in life is to have somebody to care for, her baby, essentially, that she can take care of and nurture and grow. And that's, maybe she was going about it the complete wrong way. But she did have a really shitty father, brother. I don't know how that would work. So, and then Tess just fucking obliterates her.
Naturally.
Just one shot to the face, she's done. But yeah, it was good.
Yeah, I thought it was good. I liked it.
I would recommend it to a friend, to a family member, anybody that loves horror. And for this, you have anything else?
No, not really.
I didn't think so either. Let's jump into the Taylor Talk. And this week, Taylor Talk is going to be a little bit different because we went and saw Clerks 3.
Clerks 3!
And this was a limited release.
Dude, it was so exciting. I recognize that this is your Taylor Talk, but I just want to say that. That's all I have. That's my statement. It was super excited. Continue. I'm sorry.
And because we were super excited about this, we're going to talk to you about it. This is going to be completely spoiler free because I really liked this movie. I'll just come out and say it, and I don't want to ruin it for anybody when it actually becomes available in theaters. I think that would be fucked up. So we're going to talk about it, but the reason we didn't do an episode over this is because I didn't want to spoil anything, and I could only think of like 10 minutes worth of stuff to talk about without spoiling it.
So I'm actually really upset that Taylor's using a bunch of I statements there because we talked about it and we didn't want to spoil it.
Is there any proof of that? This is my Taylor Talk.
Okay. We talked about it. We didn't want to spoil it. We both really enjoyed it. I thought it was awesome too.
We didn't talk about this. This was not planned.
I mean, we didn't talk about what we were going to say about it, but we did talk about a spoiler-free Clerks 3 review. We even posted a picture on Instagram about it like 3 days ago.
We did in our Instagram, which you can find in the description down below. We have our link tree. Check it out. Join us on Facebook, our Facebook group. We're on Instagram. We're on Twitter. We're also on TikTok, even though we don't have any, videos. If you know how to use TikTok and would like to run our TikTok account, please, by all means, let me know.
At 2idiots1podcast2022@gmail.com.
Yeah, that's how you get in contact with us. Or if you want, I'll give you my cell phone number. You can call me. We can have some, chats. If you're attractive, it'll be over candlelit dinner.
But so Clerks 3.
Clerks 3.
It's a great homage. Hominy.
Hummus.
To Clerks 1 and 2. And I don't know. I've seen all of Kevin Smith's movies, and I'm not going to do like a tier list for you guys, but I would say that this is pretty high up there. I don't think it's as good as, Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. That's a masterpiece in my opinion. I don't think it's as good as Dogma, but I think it's pretty high up there.
So this movie made me appreciate Kevin Smith because my buddy Josh has always looked at me like I was weird. He's like, why don't you like Kevin Smith?
You didn't like Kevin Smith?
No.
Fucker.
No, because I did not like Kevin Smith. I'm not a big fan, or even really a fan of Jay and Silent Bob. I've always thought that their characters were kind of dumb. Never could get into it. When I saw that the original Clerks was in black and white, I thought that it was fucking stupid and didn't understand it, and that it was just shitty. And then when I watched Clerks 2, I hadn't seen the first one, so I didn't really get the full effect of it. But Randall made me like the movie. If I had saw the first one, I would have made a lot more sense. Which leads me into, if you haven't seen the first two Clerks, do not watch this movie, like at all. Like, you need to watch Clerks 1 and 2, and then when you've watched Clerks 1 and 2, and then you can watch this, because you won't appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, this movie is the end of a trilogy and needs to be treated that way. You wouldn't watch the sixth Star Wars movie, the original trilogy, the third one. You wouldn't watch that one first or by itself. And you wouldn't watch Return of the King by itself. Okay.
I mean, there's only one trilogy, and it's of the Jedi.
There's only one Return.
Oh,
It's
I'm
of
sorry.
the
I
Jedi.
fucking fuck everything up.
That's okay. Randall, Clerks 2. If you don't know that, fuck you. But yeah, basically, if you haven't seen the trailer for this one, this picks up with Dante, Randall, and Elias working at the Quick Stop when Randall has a heart attack and realizes that his life has been wasted. So in order to rectify that, he is going to write a movie.
That's basically a spoiler-free summary.
Yeah, I'm not going to tell you anything else.
No,
That's
I mean,
the-
and you
like-
shouldn't.
No, I'm not going to say anything else on that one. But yeah, that's the premise for it. If that sounds like something that you would be into, go watch the other two. But yeah, no, I really did not like Kevin Smith. I thought Kevin Smith was not very funny. I did not like him as a filmmaker at all. But this movie has completely changed my opinions of everything Kevin Smith, and I went back and rewatched Clerks 1 and 2 from like a different perspective after seeing this movie, and I really appreciate those movies now. And I need to go back and watch other ones, because like I watched Tusk and I was like, this is stupid.
I thought Tusk was awesome. I like Tusk a lot.
I don't like Tusk.
I think it's fun. Like, I agree that it's stupid, but I think it's really fun, and I think he does body horror in it really well.
He does. But like the concept from that coming from, him just being high and saying an idea or whatever, which goes along the same thing of, Human Centipede, where they were asking like what a punishment should be for pedophiles and sex offenders. And that's how that movie got made.
I don't know. I feel like there are some depraved people who would be turned on by the idea of being human centipeded.
No, I guarantee there is. But that's not the point. But yeah, no, I watched this movie, and can we say like the beginning and ending stuff? Would that?
So like how when we watched it in theaters, in our theater experience, we had a before scene with Kevin Smith and a couple other people talking, and then an after scene.
Which the after scene wasn't really an after scene. It was more of a 20-minute making of Clerks 3.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that they were interviews that have already been released, or some of them.
Okay. Oh yeah. Yeah. They're okay. We're not gonna talk about that one.
No, I don't want to say anything specific from it, but
I will say the only thing that I'll say specific from that is watching that made me appreciate Kevin Smith.
I mean, I've always appreciated Kevin Smith. My dad was really into Kevin Smith movies, specifically Dogma and Mallrats. My dad really liked both of those movies, and it just set me on a path. But I don't know. I like everything. Everything in the View Askew universe is something I enjoy.
I don't know. I don't know why I've never really liked Kevin Smith, but I'm glad that we went and saw this, because initially when you brought up the idea and I didn't want to tell you, I was a little hesitant on it, because I was like, I like Clerks 2, some of it. Like I really like Randall. That's my spirit animal. And I had only watched the first Clerks one time, and I was like, I mean, Randall was funny. I enjoyed basically every scene with Randall, but I think the best scene in the original Clerks is when the lady is asking him about the movie and he's on the counter reading the newspaper. I think that's probably my favorite with Randall in that first movie.
See, I don't know. I really like Dante a lot in the first movie.
I like him more in the first movie than I do in the second one.
Yeah, in the second movie, I don't know. To me, Clerks 2 is weaker than Clerks 1.
I agree.
That being said, the reason I don't feel as strongly about Clerks 2, I think, is because I feel like I associate it very heavily with Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, which I like Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back so much more that when I watch Clerks 2, I'm like, man, this is a solid ass movie, but I would rather be watching Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back.
I can see that.
And I realize that might be like a weird perspective, but yeah.
No, I mean I get it. I think that if I had to put all of them together, I would say the reason the second Clerks is weaker is because they didn't intend to do a sequel, and I think that had something to do with it. Now, my favorite line, and probably like the opening scene with the customer with him and Elias talking about Lord of the Rings and Return of the Jedi. Fucking hilarious. And Rosario Dawson is, again, Rosario Dawson, if you're out there listening, we can get married. Okay. I will always find you attractive. Man, I've had a crush on her for a very long time. Full on love.
That's how I feel about some people.
Yeah. Rosario Dawson, if you're listening to this, the answer is yes. You're going to have to ask me.
Jennifer Tilly.
Oh, you and Jennifer Tilly. But no,
cool.
The second one fails in that regard because it wasn't ever intended, but I think that this movie, there wasn't a single character I didn't like in the third movie.
Yeah.
I felt like everything was wrapped up perfectly in this movie, and that if you're going to end a trilogy, that's how you do it.
Absolutely.
And if you're not going to end a trilogy and you're going to turn it into a saga, I'm looking at you, Twilight.
Twilight was never intended to be a trilogy.
No, it was intended. I think trilogies are fine. Okay, so that's my question. Do you think that like they should stop at trilogies? Like, do you think they?
I think it depends.
Okay.
I think some things should be standalone, and some things should never end.
Like standalone is Pulp Fiction, never end John Wick. I'll never get tired of John Wick.
I don't know. I feel like I feel like Pulp Fiction could have like a series for each group of characters as like a life story before they showing how they got to that point.
But it doesn't need to happen.
Right, but I feel like it wouldn't hurt it.
But it doesn't need to happen.
When I say like standalone, I mean something like definitive, that there shouldn't be anything else because anything else would just hurt it.
Like a Citizen Kane 2?
Yeah, exactly. Or Last House on the Left too.
I mean, I thought I Spit on Your Grave needed to be a standalone movie, but they made like 2 more for some weird reason. So, I mean...
Well, the second one was good, though. I liked I Spit on Your Grave, too. We're not going to get into this.
Okay.
Do you have anything else for Clerks 3?
If you have any hesitation on saying this as someone who was very hesitant to see this movie, I walked out of that with it was a really good experience. The only thing that I found to be really weird were the people next to us, because we had some interesting people sitting next to us.
The theater was packed.
It was.
But that just shows how much love there is for this movie and like for Kevin Smith and stuff that he has a hand in.
Well, because that's what I thought was extremely funny. Because before we watched it, Kevin Smith came on and said, "Thank you for coming out to the movies." Didn't know people still did that. Thank you for coming out to see probably the cheapest movie Lionsgate's ever made, which I thought was funny. But he basically was saying like the whole opening thing was 30 seconds of Kevin Smith, or was it a minute?
I'm not sure. I feel like it was longer than 30 seconds, but I couldn't say.
It was probably a minute or two of Kevin Smith just saying thank you for coming out and seeing this. Like, it means the world to me that you have turned Clerks into the cult classic that it is.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't think Kevin Smith will ever hear this, or probably anyone on like Kevin Smith's team or the Clerks production team. But if you guys do somehow hear this, you guys did a great job, and I'm proud of you, even though that means nothing coming from me.
Right. And as someone who did not like you, Kevin Smith, I like you now. I apologize. I was wrong about you. Thank you for making Clerks 1, 2, and 3.
Absolutely. And do you have anything else?
No, I think that was it. Wraps up our review of Conan the Barbarian.
Yep. As always, any comments or questions, feel free to use the link tree below to reach us.
Before we do that, can I introduce a new segment?
Sure.
Would it be possible just to do that?
I mean, yeah.
Throwing in a new segment. You have any upcoming movies that you would like to see? Or even movies out now that you think would be good? Because mine would be Pearl. I cannot wait to go see Pearl.
I'm pretty excited to go see the Weird Al movie.
Weird Al Yankovic.
Yeah, that's the one with Daniel Radcliffe.
Okay, so this may sound bad. Halloween Ends. Okay. I'm going to watch it. Is it going to be bad? Probably. Still going to watch it. Let me see. What else is another good one? Oh, the Amsterdam movie that had Christian Bale and Margot Robbie. Do you remember where Christian Bale, do you remember the preview for that one? With Christian Bale having the eye, the war hero, and they all make the pact, and then they're accused of murder.
What's the name of the movie?
Amsterdam.
No, I have no recollection.
Okay. That one we saw the trailer for. That looks good. Has a very heavy star-studded cast. I think we saw that one when we were looking at Clerks. I really I wanted to watch that one. What do you think? I know we've talked about it, but what do you think about Smile?
I think it looks so fucking stupid, but I assume that we're gonna have to do it because I know that we have at least 2 listeners who have brought it up to me that they want to see us do it. Which, speaking of listener requests and stuff, there are a couple on the back burner we still need to get to. You guys haven't been forgotten, I promise.
I mean, technically, we already have one of them recorded.
Yeah, we have the Killer Clowns episode recorded.
The Killer Clowns episode is recorded and edited, but it will not be releasing until closer to the release date of the
video game, yeah.
Which is why we did that. So we didn't forget about you. We just wanted to make it kind of cooler. So
yeah, and we both still need to read Annihilation.
We do, but as soon as we do that, we can do Annihilation.
Yeah,
but
that's what I'm actually excited for.
Annihilation.
Yeah,
I too like annihilating things.
Well, just like watching the trailer and like what I've read of the book.
Trailers ruin movies.
I mean, I hard agree with that.
Hard facts. Oh, I'm also actually a little bit excited for Bros.
Are you?
Dude, I love Billy Eichner.
Well, a lot of the other movies that they've worked on, I really like Knocked Up and all of that.
Yeah. I mean, I'll probably end up watching it just to see.
Oh, I'll certainly go watch it.
Because, like, it's a romantic comedy, which normally I'm not into. But, again, cannot stress this enough. Billy Eichner is one of the funniest people I've ever seen. Billy in the Streets was fucking hilarious. And he made Parks and Rec just a tad bit better. Let me look at other ones. Oh, I really don't fucking care about the Beast movie. I don't know if that's out or playing.
I'm pretty sure it came out a couple weeks ago.
Oh, that's how much I care about that one. If you see that, Bullet Train is one that I do need to go see, but I probably won't. Oh, Black Adam. Can we talk about Black Adam? I think Black Adam would look good. With Dwayne The Rock Johnson. Why do they call him The Rock?
I'm not sure. That's just his wrestling name.
That's just... Yeah, you know what his original wrestling name was?
I have no idea.
Oh, shit. Hold on. I forgot it. It's Rocky Maivia. That was his... Fun fact, if you didn't know that, when he was in the Nation of Domination. Which was... Yeah. We are the Nation of Domination. Yeah, he was Rocky Maivia and then got shortened to The Rock. That's where that comes from. But yeah. His dad. That doesn't matter. As you can see, I'm an old school wrestling fan. So if you're a fan of the Attitude Era, I'm a fan of you. But yeah, those are our news segments. That's a new segment that we'll probably start introducing if you guys like it, where we just talk about upcoming movies that we're excited about, except for Smile. I don't think we're excited about that one. But we're going to do it because you're excited for it. And when you're excited, I'm excited. Viagra. We should get plugged. We should plug Viagra.
I don't think so, bud.
I don't think so either. But yeah, with that being said, as like Bailey was talking about our link tree before I cut him off. So Bailey, please go back to talking about our link tree.
If you have the desire to reach out to us on any platform, all of the available platforms are located in our link tree. You can also email us at 2idiots1podcast2022@gmail.com.
And if you would like to, if you want to talk to us in any way, you can also DM us on Instagram, Twitter, message us in the Facebook group, or start a post in the Facebook group if you want other members of the community to get in on it. Post a movie that you like, post a fun fact about a movie that you like, or just say, hi, my name is blank, and I like to blank.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, with that being said, we thank all of our fans out there. Your daily motivation speech is that you are beautiful, you are wonderful. We appreciate you. Thank you for everything that you are doing. And at some point in the future, it will get better.
It might get better.
Or it might not. Nothing matters.
But thanks everyone for listening. This has been Bailey.
And this has been Taylor, which means this must have been 2 Idiots, 1 Podcast Review Barbarian 2022.
Thank you very much for listening. Bye-bye.
Bye.